Well, welcome to Martini time, the happy time of the day. So what happened today? I hope you had a great day. It's been a beautiful day here in Blackstone, the center of the world, but then you too are the center of the world. And so the only thing I did today that was interesting was a friend of mine brought over his power washer, and I power washed half my deck. And the title of this talk is Power Wash Your Mind. And so we're going to talk about the practice of mindfulness, being mindful, and how that mindfulness is a power washer for the mind. So let's look into that. And then I can speak with a little bit of experience because I started practice of meditation and mindfulness in 2005, seriously, and while I've been playing with it for years before that. But it wasn't until 2005 that mindfulness and meditation began to do me. And by doing me, I mean that I just had a compulsion to do it. I just wanted to do it. And there wasn't any particular reason for it, like I'm going to get enlightened or something. It was just an inner compulsion, a desire to do it. And so I just do it. And I get up in the morning and I meditate. I started out as a half hour, and now it's an hour, hour and a half. And the mindfulness practice just began to happen spontaneously. It's kind of like elevator music. Or it's kind of like music or tune that you can't get out of your head. So let me describe mindfulness is that it starts off with an intention to be mindful of your body, so that you look for opportunities when your mind is not engaged in something. You're walking to get some coffee, you're walking upstairs, you're moving around, you're going to the toilet, whatever, brushing your teeth, whatever you're doing that doesn't require your full attention is the opportunity to practice mindfulness. So you just have the intention to be mindful of the sensations of the body. And this is not an easy thing to do because we are conditioned to think about the body. So if I say, feel the energy in your hand, you're going to think about your hand. You see. So the mind wants to put a mediator of thought and concepts between you and the actual sensation of reality, the touch, the smell, the sound, the taste of reality. And this is not easy to do, so it takes a practice. So it takes the practice of just having the intention to really want to become a friend with your body. What is the body feeling? And the body will begin to reveal its subtle communication with you. The energy flow, the way the body, the feeling of air on your hands when you walk, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the balance. In a way, this is portable yoga. As people go practice yoga, and they become sensitive to the postures. The teacher tells you to relax into the posture and become aware of your body posture and not your thinking posture. See, because mind is always a bunch of postures, an attitude, and a position, an opinion. An opinion is a posture. We get all these postures of the mind, and then we defend them. Well, I have to defend my position. That's like defending your yoga posture. The downward dog is better than yours, and I'll die before I change. See how ridiculous that is, you see. So the mind is just full of postures, opinions that we defend, and we attack those that threat ours, you see. And so mindfulness bypasses that. It's dysfunctional. When something's dysfunctional, don't fight it, bypass it. That's a good policy. When you notice something is dysfunctional, don't fight it, don't enter into it and argue with it. Don't try to repress it, just bypass it. So how do you bypass thinking? Well, you bypass it by putting your attention, your raw attention, on body sensations, breath. So I practiced that, So it just became what I do, And it did require a desire and attention to, I should be mindful now. Oh, I'm walking around, let me be mindful. So there's that kind of effort. And then after a while, the effort disappears, and you just do it. You become automatic mindfulness. You're just becoming more and more aware of your body and the ground of your reality. And of course, this works with meditation. See, because formal meditation, you're going to sit for 20 minutes, basically is the intention to bypass thinking. And you use the breath as to put your attention on while you're meditating. And thought will come in and try to unseat you. Thought will come in and try to throw you off the breath. It's kind of like the rodeo bull. How long can you sit on that thing before it throws you off? How long can you sit on your breath before thinking throws you off? You're sitting on your breath, in, out, in. Next thing you know, you're in Miami. Some geese went by and you went to Miami with them. Oh wait, I'm in Miami. Where's breath? So you come back to breath. In, out, in. Now you're at the bank arguing about your bill. Oh, breath, come back. In, out, in. Now you're in that movie you watched. And you may stay in it a while, and then, breath, come back. So you're being mindful of breath when you're sitting in meditation. And then you take it portable, and you're mindful of your body. But your breath, hands, feel your hair, feel the air on your face. Notice when your eyes are blinking. You see? Noticing. Mindfulness is noticing. Mindfulness is tuned noticing. You notice things. So today, power washing the mind. Okay, so a friend brought a power washer over. And he said, and he showed me you got a dog, and be sure and check the oil. Okay, so I'm running the power washer. Oh, maybe I better check the oil. So I checked the oil. And I noticed there was a little, I'll tell you what happened, then we'll go back and look at it from mindfulness. Let me get a drink here. So I checked the oil, and I pull the stick out, and there's some oil, but I can't, it's hot, I keep sticking it in. It looks like there's not enough oil in it. It's a little teeny bitty dipstick. This hasn't got enough oil. So I found some oil and I poured it in. And I started it up again, and suddenly this explosion of black smoke goes boom all over the yard. A friend of mine came and says, "Where's this smoke?" Oh my God, I blew up the power washer. But then my friend came, and so we talked, and all the while, I was aware of this thought that I had destroyed the power washer. But then I knew what had happened. Too much oil. So after my friend left, I went to the Bevel's and said my power washer, I put too much oil in it, and one guy said, "Well, just tip it over." But I had come there with the idea that I'll get a siphon and I'll siphon the oil off. And so, but the guys who said there, well, just tip it over. And I said, "Oh, okay, well, but anyway, give me a siphon anyway." So I bought a siphon for $3. Came back, the siphon didn't fit. So I tipped it over, poured the oil out, got it down to empty, put the oil back in, measured it, got the oil up, turned it on, finished the job. So that was a little, for me, I mean, that was a mindfulness will make you aware of your neurosis. Mindfulness will make you aware of your hang-ups. Maybe that's why people don't want to practice mindfulness. Because it's kind of like the mind is a hurricane, and you can, the weatherman tracks it and shows well, mindfulness tracks your mind. Because mindfulness is not mindfulness is not your mind. You get the idea? Mindfulness is being mindful of the mind. Mindfulness is like the background awareness that is aware of thinking. Most people have no idea that's possible. But there is a background awareness, just like there is a background. If you have a camera and you have a wide-angle lens, you take a picture of the background. But then if you have a narrow focus lens, you take a picture of the dog or the cat or the flower. You focus on some foreground. Well, that's what the mind does. The mind is always focused on some foreground, some thought, some concept, something that gets it, some movement, something that gets its attention, the foreground. Mindfulness is the background. That doesn't change. Mindfulness is the background out of which the foreground comes that we think about. So when mindfulness is activated, the background is always there to notice what's happening in the foreground. It's like a play. You got the background set, and then you got your people running around on the stage. Well, normally, we only think about and believe in the people on the stage. We're not aware of the background. Or you go to a movie, and there's background music, and then we're watching a movie, and very rarely are we aware of the background music, but it's affecting our emotional relationship to the foreground. So the background is always there. Gestalt psychology calls this the gestalt. The gestalt is always there, but we're focused on the foreground, what we're thinking about, what's important, the threat, the stress, the ambiguity, the level of the oil, and the fact that, oh my God, I need to put oil in it because I don't want to screw it up. You see, so there was some anxiety in that. And the fact that I need to check the oil. Now, I've had several power washers, and I never had any problem with the oil. But suddenly I had a problem with the oil. So I overcompensated. I filled it up over the top. You see. So the fear, and I'm noticing this, you see, now I'm aware of this while it's going on. That's why I can talk to you about it. So I notice, that there's a little bit of ambiguity here because there's a little bit of anxiety. Anxiety creates ambiguity. Anxiety creates, well, is it full enough or is it not? I can't even, let me wipe that. Let me try to keep trying it over, dipping that thing down there. Well, daggone, it sure looks like it hadn't got enough to me. So my anxiety created an overreaction, and I overfilled it. So a little tape loop going on there. And mindfulness is aware of the whole thing. You see. So it's kind of like a little sitcom. My life is a sitcom. But then everybody's life is a sitcom. These little sitcoms are going off all the time, and you live in them unless your mindfulness is awake, and then you notice them, and they're kind of funny. And they get weaker. In other words, if you don't notice them, you live in it, and when you live in it, you invest in it, and that creates the karma for it to happen again. So it keeps kicking the can down the road. So the mindfulness begins to deplete the karma, begins to dissolve the karmic patterns, the neurosis, begins to weaken the storm. It's like the hurricane goes over the ground of mindfulness and begins to weaken. But as long as it's going over the warm water, It strengthens, you see. So the warm water of the mind is our belief in the foreground, is the investment in what we are thinking about, and the sleep of the background. But as soon as the hurricane or the mind goes over the ground of mindfulness, it begins to break up. And this really works, you know. So I speak from experience. So my life is, in the practice of mindfulness, is a great joy. Because I'm always power washing the mind. You power wash the mind when you can notice the mind. That's all it takes. Just noticing it. Because when you notice what the mind is doing, you're not the mind. When you notice what the thought is doing, you're not the thought. You're the noticer. And the noticer is not a thought. But our self, our little me, our personality, our ego, is a thought. Because you can notice it. You see, you can notice your ego. You can catch your ego with its hand in the cookie jar. You can catch your ego trying to fool somebody or yourself. Catch yourself in the act, you see. That's noticing. That noticing is mindfulness, and that's who you really are. And mindfulness is empty. There's nobody there. Mindfulness is impersonal. What we notice is personal. What we notice is personal in that it's related to my sense of self and the protection of myself and my postures and my positions that I want to protect and defend or advance. You see, all of these postures are of the mind, mental postures. But awareness, mindfulness is awareness. Mindfulness is not a posture. Therefore, it's not personal. It's impersonal. You're not there because you can be aware of you. So mindfulness is empty. This is what Zen Buddhism talks about being empty. Mindfulness is empty of you because you can be aware of you as a thought, as a posture, as a position, as an opinion, as a belief, as a conviction. All of these things are you, but mindfulness can be aware of it. But not judgmentally. That's personal. So impersonal mindfulness is not judgmental. And now we're getting to Jesus. Don't judge. Love your enemy as yourself. Well, that defeats posture. How can you love the other guy's posture as yourself, you see? So that's mindfulness. Mindfulness transcends postures, positions, duality, arguing, conflict, war, you see. Mindfulness just notes it. Just is aware of, mindful of it, you see. Doesn't judge it, doesn't divide it, doesn't judge, oh, you're wrong for having that thought. Oh, here we go again. You know, none of that, you see, because you can be mindful of that. So everything you think, you can be mindful of. So mindfulness is like stepping back until you come to a place where nothing's there. Emptiness. And when that emptiness is awakened, you're free. You're liberated. You're free from being trapped in the mind's postures. Because your identity shifts from something to nothing. Your identity shifts from being a me in a posture that has to defend itself. I go on Facebook and defend my position. You see. There is no position in mindfulness. There is no position in emptiness. And that's our true identity. We're empty. And yet we have form. This is where people get all screwed up. They say, well, non-duality, emptiness, oh, form is, the world is an illusion. Well, that's an illusion. And my bell rings, so we're going to stop now. I'm mindful of the bell. So stop in this tomorrow morning. We'll kick this can down the road some more. Follow me. And if you miss these talks, go to my blog, tokillaminotaur.com. And let's track this hurricane of the mind. Let's track it and see what it looks like. You would be surprised at how joyous you feel when you can be mindful of your own mind and be free from it. Think about that. Well, don't think about that. Notice your thinking. I'll see you in the morning.